Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia J, and I'm here with Ashley Nicole Moss.
Hello, everyone. Alicia coming to us live from Tampa, not that far from where I am, like 3.5-ish hours, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not that far at all. And let me tell you, it has been amazing since we've landed in Tampa. Well, I mean, it seems like it was a long time ago because we've been doing so many things, actually, literally. We've been burning the candle at both ends for sure and running around, but it's all been awesome. And we'll rehash a little bit of that. But first, we definitely have to break down these Final Four games that just happened. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
There sure is. There sure is. But before we get into that, we got to remind you of the regular schmegular, and that is to follow us on all social media platforms and make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned all the way up on YouTube. And if you are someone who needs to digest all of the madness that you just witnessed, that's okay. Because if you wanted to listen to us tomorrow, scan this QR code here and we will pop up wherever you get your pods. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple. So look, as always, there's no reason to not be tapped in with us right here at We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.
Yeah, you definitely have to tap in because we've had so much coverage from the Final Four that if you aren't subscribed, you would not get. We dropped some amazing interviews today with Lisa Leslie, Renee Montgomery, Cynthia Cooper. I got to interview Cynthia Cooper and I was geeking out inside. I'm not even going to lie. So all of those are up on YouTube right now. So make sure that you check them out. It really has been, one of those pinch me moments, Ashley, for me personally. Just working in sports for as long as I have, and then, really breaking into this side, on the media side of it. And just to be sitting up there with, those legends that I just said, interviewing them at the Women's Final Four has been nothing short of phenomenal. Also just, this is my favorite event of the year. And it's one of those blessings that we get, covering sports, to be able to go to these things and, have a courtside view and a courtside seat to be able to, just watch these amazing women play these games. It was amazing to be a part of, but also one thing that I love that I saw at the games, so there's a lot of families going to these games, a lot of, young kids, boys and girls that are there. And it's just really cool to see, an entire family just take in these games and really, I don't know, just enjoy women's basketball. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
Yeah. And, just seeing a lot of these players that we've covered all year in person, because, I've been wanting to see them, and it's completely different than when you watch them on TV, just to see their athleticism, how hard they work. And we've been in locker rooms with these teams. We've done a lot of coverage there as well that is on at We Need to Talk Social. And just to see their personalities, interact with them, and just see everything that they're doing has been amazing as well. So this is a week. Well, it's not even a weekend. It's really a week for us that we're here to remember for sure.
I love that. I love to see all the content coming out because obviously, I won't be in Tampa. I head to San Antonio in 6 hours. So that should be fun. Yeah. So before we dive into before we dive into the championship for the women's game, we need to dive into this Final Four. South Carolina, Texas was the first game up of the night. We were kind of split when we were previewing this game, Alicia. Obviously, South Carolina has been kind of skating by narrowly at some of these games throughout the tournament, and Texas has been super dominant. So two very different ends of the spectrum. And looking at their history, these two teams, they've played 3 times, not including this time. This would now be the 4th. And the only time that it was close was in the game that Texas won. And I remember us saying that if South Carolina was going to beat Texas, it was going to be in an exorbitant fashion like the other 2 times that they have seen Texas. And lo and behold, 74-57.
Yeah, we also said too that they had to use their depth that they have been using all season because they weren't really using that all the way during the tournament. And they certainly did that in this game. I mean, they absolutely dominated on many levels. There were spurts here and there for Texas, but South Carolina really showed us tonight what South Carolina basketball is. You know, they came out and they probably had, I would arguably say, one of the best games of their season, and obviously at the right time. So
Mm-hmm.
it was hard to watch because I know that Texas is in a lot of ways a better team than the team that we saw tonight.
Yeah.
But I will say that South Carolina definitely came out and they showed us why they are going to be in that championship game.
Yeah, and I think that's also just the nature of the beast when you talk about the tournament, right? And I always make this comparison when kind of explaining to people why I think it's harder to win a college championship than an NBA championship. People will be like, "What do you mean the competition is more intense?" That may be so, but in a 7-game series, the better team will always win, right? You have 7 opportunities if it goes to 7. When you talk about college, it's one and done. And the better team, not saying that Texas was the better team, but just the more consistent team, I would say, in this tournament. They've been playing more consistent basketball than what we've seen from South Carolina. If you have a bad night, that's it. There is no redo. There is no, okay, let me fix these mistakes. Let me make these adjustments if you're the coach. And to your point, Texas is a much better team than we saw tonight. But that's the beauty and the beast, if you will, of the tournament is that all it takes is one bad night. And that one bad night will make or break your season. And unfortunately for Texas, that bad night happened to them in the Final Four. A phenomenal basketball team, extraordinary talent on this team. This is not indicative of who they are as a program, what this team has looked like. It's just the nature of the beast, honestly. And that's really all I can say about that.
Well, and I know this game was definitely disappointing on levels for them, obviously, in many ways, but they should be proud of this season that they had for
Yeah.
sure. Texas should. But what I will say, another edge that I think South Carolina had coming into this is they've been here before. And you could see when they came out that they just had this confidence about them that we are going to the championship. This is what we do. And
Mhm.
a lot of those players have experienced what it's like to go there
Yeah.
multiple times. So you could definitely see that that was a part of it too. I don't know if it translated onto TV, but in person, they came out and they knew exactly where they
Well,
were going. You could
they
tell from
definitely they definitely look like they had some of their swagger back, and I feel like finding that momentum and finding that swag at this point in the season or in this point in the tournament, I should say, is beneficial going into the final game. You want to remember who you are and what you're capable of. And I think that we've been having the conversation throughout these past few weeks about them losing their identity in some ways. It didn't look like the team that, you associate South Carolina basketball with. And they, whatever they did to flip that switch and find that, again, they did. Any players that kind of stood out to you since you had a front row and center seat to all of the madness tonight?
Yeah, Joyce Edwards definitely stood out to me. We've been talking a lot about, freshmen standing out in what they're doing in this tournament and what they've done in the season. And she got 13 points, 11 rebounds, and Tahina Pow, I mean, 13 point. I'm sorry, she went 3 for 4 from 3 for a team lead of 14 points. I mean, the bench themselves had 35 points to Texas's 27. So, I mean, I guess you could collectively say the bench stood out to me in some ways. But I also want to say, I want to speak to kind of how loose and how confident that they were. I don't know if you saw the clip, but Bree Hall hit a shot, and as she was running back, she fell, like literally fell. And everyone, and especially Dawn Staley, just got weak, Ashley. Like they fell out because of the way that she fell onto the floor, including Bree Hall. So it was one of those moments where you just see that not only is this team confident and they know where they're going, as we've talked about, but also since they've been here before, they have this a little bit of air of being loose as well. And you could see that it was like the epitome of a team that, also in addition to taking care of business, also has fun, like a lot of fun. So we have that on our social app. We need to talk as well. It was hilarious on all levels.
Well, definitely make sure you check that out on the socials of We Need to Talk. Alicia works really hard at getting some behind the scenes content and capturing all the moments that you won't see on TV. And speaking of won't see on TV, we won't see UCLA anymore in this tournament, but we will be seeing UConn and Paige Bueckers one more time, because UConn absolutely dominated the Bruins. And when we talk about a game not being indicative of a team and how talented they are, this is a perfect example of that. UConn just absolutely did not show up in the way they've been showing up this entire tournament. It was an insanely lopsided game. We were texting about it. 34 points marks the largest loss by a number one seed. The previous was 26. First 30-point win by any school. So that would be UConn in the situation. Sarah Strong, who we spoke very highly of in our last podcast, and her mom actually retweeted, I saw the quote card where we were saying that like they're losing Paige, but they got Sarah, and that's a very easy transition, if you will, after losing your star. So Sarah Strong, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 4 of 6 from 3. The next Maya Moore ? Is kind of what's been circulating on social media, just how dominant that she has been, not only in this tournament, but really all season long. Let's make that very clear. This is not a tournament specific performance or performances. She's been doing this all season. We've been talking about her all season. The interesting thing, though, I feel about this particular game is when we've been talking about UConn, we've really been talking Paige. Mm-hmm. But in this specific game, it wasn't Paige. Paige only had 14 points, not to say only. I'd like to have 14 points in a Final Four. But when you think about Paige Bueckers, and she's been dropping 30 pieces, and, these crazy stat lines we've been seeing all season, it's kind of impressive. And also, I think just the characteristic of a Gino coach team, that Paige could have a night like she had tonight, not her most productive, if you will, for lack of a better word, and they still win, and they still blow out UCLA in the way they did. You were there, you saw it with your own eyes. What was one of your biggest takeaways?
Well, one of my biggest takeaways was that is how scary UConn is, that Paige Bueckers, the standout, amazing player that she is, has what you would say is a quote unquote off night, which really isn't, but yeah, for her, it's not, right. Yeah, it's not a traditional night for her. And they still play UCLA like this. That is what was so scary to me, was that is what we were watching, is like, okay, not only is Paige here, but the whole team is here. Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd. I mean, you could go down the line. They were so productive.
And speaking of that, real quick before you finish your point, at one point, AZ and Sarah had more points, 37, than UCLA as a team, 35. So just think about that for a second.
Yeah. And I absolutely love the way that they played Lauren Betts. I mean, she still had a good night if you look at her line, but they definitely appeared to be able to shut her down, at points times in the paint in the first half. That was huge. I also really think, just from watching them, that UCLA was a bit nervous. There was something there that, just wouldn't click. Right.
Were there jitters, something that you noticed? Because usually, the jitters are there, and then after halftime, you see them disappear, or even after the first quarter, really, you kind of see them disappear. You settle into yourself. Did you feel like they ever settled, or were they constantly kind of playing on edge?
I didn't see any settling personally. I saw a team that was kind of playing outside of themselves, not in a great way. They just couldn't really lock in all of the way. And that's tough. That's going to be a tough thing to look back and see, because I still do believe that UConn would win, but I think it would have been a much closer game if that would have happened. I just never saw it personally. It was just really, it was kind of hard to watch, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because
No, I agree.
we know what we have seen all season long, and that just wasn't there for them tonight.
I think also one of the things that stood out to me watching in the first half was you take Lauren Betts out of the equation, and for a team as talented as UCLA is, with the talent that UCLA has, they're not very creative outside of her. It's like she is the nucleus. She is kind of, the sun, and everything else orbits around her. And if you take the sun out of the equation, everything's like thrown off its axis, and you're like, okay, now I don't know what to do. What do we do here? Like, how are we supposed to be? It's just their lack of creativity in terms of their offense and their defense was probably something for me that was most surprising, because I don't think I noticed it as much during the course of the season, or the tournament, I should say, than I noticed it in this specific game. That was something to me that kind of threw me off, because I always thought that they were more creative than with their schemes and their game plan than they actually are. Because again, from what I saw in this particular game, you take her out and it's like the chickens without their heads. They have no idea how to maneuver, how to function. And I never picked up on that until tonight. That was something that kind of surprised me.
Yeah, it definitely surprising in this game for sure. But what I will say is Lauren Betts is so talented and she's so dominant. But I don't care who you are. One player cannot carry a team.
Right.
They just can't. It's always going to tell on itself when that is the case. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily the case. I think there was just a lot of things that didn't go right for UCLA in this case. But man, I mean, regardless of, how kind of not great that they played.
Yeah.
And just putting it, in very simple terms, UConn looked amazing. They just looked really good. And you can see why they are indeed UConn. And you can see that especially because, like we said, Paige didn't have the night that so very opposite of UCLA. Paige didn't have the night she necessarily usually does, and people stepped up. You saw the other pieces that were on the team, and you saw how deep UConn is as well. So, man, I mean, it just wasn't UCLA's night. Just
Listen,
wasn't.
Alicia, we have on our hands the battle of two giants coming up now. Woo! The national championship is going to be UConn and South Carolina. This is a rematch. This is a battle of the Titans. These are I should say, two of the best programs, the last two standing. Two historic programs for two different reasons, some of the same reasons, two incredible coaches, two legendary coaches, two Hall of Fame coaches. I mean, the list goes on and on. It is going to be a lot of points, a lot of defense, a lot of trash talk, a lot of emotion, but there can only be one. So let's dive into the national championship preview.
Man, I mean, it's going to be one for the ages. I really, truly believe. You have two teams that are deep. You have two teams that are locked in at the right time. That's the other thing. If you look at how they're playing right now, both of them are playing at a stellar level at the exact right time. So you're going to have a clash that is going to produce one of the best games I think we'll see. Really, truly. Both of these teams want it so badly for different reasons.
Right.
They both have.
Both of the coaches want it bad for different reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they both have also, and I'm just going to say the environment in that arena is going to be something else, because they both have fan bases that do not play about their teams.
Travel very well.
Yes. I mean, you see UConn and South Carolina all over the place. We were in Tourney Town today, and that's literally all you saw. And so Man, when I think about, all the storylines that are going to come out of these games for both teams, when I think about the players who are going to all get out there and ball out in a most confident way because they know what it's like to do that, whether it be from a program standpoint, which is UConn, which has a tradition of like, we gonna get in there and get that championship, to Dawn Staley, who has built this program where she could literally be, I guess, like she could win the most championships of all time of any coach in college. And so when Dawn is in tune and has a mission, her team is in tune and has a mission. And we've seen that throughout this entire tournament. And then you just have Gino, who just expects excellence. He has had nothing but excellence since he's been a coach at UConn. And he has the players that are not only playing for him, for themselves, but also for Paige, so she can get that championship.
Do you think Gino retires if they win it?
Man, it's so hard because I feel like Gino just will never, he just doesn't want to retire. I can't see him ever retiring.
Like,
I really don't.
Like UConn just kind of go hand in hand.
Yes. Yes, that's even hard for me to.
It'd be interesting. I mean, we all know how emotional he has been this tournament, specifically with it being Paige's last as a Husky. Even though he says he's not crying, we've seen a couple tears come out of Gino. And he'll definitely cry if they win it. And I'm sure everyone's gonna be on Gino watch if they win the whole thing. For that very reason, if he will retire. Let's talk about the keys to the game, though, because when we talk about these two teams, we talk about two teams that can score a lot of points when shots are falling. We talk about two teams that have absolutely offensive and defensive weapons. I think what UConn kind of needs to do is exactly what they did last time and what they have been doing all tournament long, and that's impose their dominance very early on, very quickly. Just play with that tenacity that that UConn can play with. And this is no knock to the rest of the team, but South Carolina isn't UCLA, and we need a Paige Bueckers game if this is going to be the type of game that we want to see. Yes, they're deep, but Paige Bueckers, you are their star, you are their leader, you are their captain, and 14 points, my girl, is not going to cut it, especially not against South Carolina, especially not against Dawn Staley. Key to the games for South Carolina, what are you thinking?
Well, they need to continue to use their depth like they have all year. I feel like in the first part of the tournament, they didn't really necessarily do that. And we saw these games that we were just kind of like, ooh, they're kind of eking by, like in different ways. And in this game, they showed us how deep they really are. And in order for them to win the championship and repeat, they're going to need that same fire that they had in this game, that same depth, and even that same kind of like looseness that they had. They are a really great team when they just play their basketball the way that they know how to do it and in the way they know how to do it. And I don't think we really saw that particularly in the first part of the tournament. And we definitely saw it tonight. We saw that tonight. So they need all of that. They need all of it in order to repeat. I mean, I can definitely see it. But when I think about UConn and just kind of how they are playing right now and how they've just kind of started to pull out everything that they have in different ways, I don't want to put it on one player, but I do want to say that AZ has to have a fantastic night. When she does well, that team does really, really well.
Listen, she's been saving it for Tampa, so
she better not save it ever again. Keep doing you, AZ Fudd, because when you do well, that team is almost unstoppable, really, with Paige or not Paige. There's just something about her locking in that locks everybody in. And it's just UConn, straight up UConn basketball that we're used to seeing. And so, again, the whole game is not on her, but a big key for UConn to win this thing, if they do, is for her to be locked in, for sure.
And we should mention also that this is a big game for UConn because their only loss in a national championship was in 2022, and that was against USC. So this is an opportunity for UConn to remind everybody, hey, when we get to national championships, we don't lose them. That's what we do here. So it's going to be interesting, this story, because on the other side of that, South Carolina is reminding people like, hey, we don't lose national championships either. The ones that we've lost, that was an anomaly. We do this out here too. So before we pick our winners, because Emma's making us do it this time, I know we sidestepped it last time. If South Carolina wins it, MOP, who do you have winning that?
Wait, so if South Carolina wins
South
it,
Carolina wins it.
sorry, I'm thinking, oh, all my light just went.
No, I can see it.
It's been one of those technical nights. Ashley, I gotta think about this. This is hard for me. What are your thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts first.
I think it's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be hard to do, right?
It is, because when you look at
have mine for UConn. I think for me, South Carolina could be, I don't want to mess her name up. Is it Tahina? Is that how we say it?
Pow.
Yeah. It depends on whoever has the biggest night. I feel like that's what South Carolina, that's how deep South Carolina is. I think for UConn, it's going to be Paige no matter what. This is no knock to Sarah Strong. She's been killing it, but I just think the nostalgia of it. It's Paige's last season. She's going pro after this. We already know. It's already been announced. I just think that whether she's the leading scorer or not, it's going to Paige. With South Carolina, it could be anyone. So South Carolina is so deep that it could be anybody. It could be three totally people that I just named.
Yeah, and that's why it's like I almost don't want to name somebody, because I feel like this game is going to have a lot to say about that, to be honest with you. But
so we'll do this then. We'll skip that, but you have to pick a winner. That we both have to do. So, national championship. It's all going down.
I am going to stick with who I picked in the beginning.
That was South Carolina.
I'm going with South Carolina. I think it's what it is for me. What it comes down to for me is what I saw in the arena today. I just felt a championship coming from that team when they entered, the way that they played. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. And I think
close game.
I think all of those players are going to put it all out on the floor. But I just think at the end of the day, the depth that South Carolina has is going to win them a championship. I do. Yeah. I also think that the strength of schedule that they had, and I know some people don't agree with this, but the strength of schedule that they've had and the way that they have prepared themselves with the ups and the downs of the entire season will bode well for them in the championship as well. I don't know if I could say, I mean, I'm not saying UConn hasn't played some stellar games this year and that they don't have the ability to ride those waves, but I just see South Carolina doing that in a fashion where they will be a repeat champion come Sunday.
Well, I don't remember who I picked, but who I'm going to pick tonight, I'm going to go UConn. I'm going to go with Paige getting her storybook ending, her send-off to the pros with a national championship. I'm going to go Gino has a really tough decision to make, whether he comes back or whether he rides off into the sunset with a championship. I'm going to put, not that she hasn't already, but I'm going to put Paige Beckers officially hanging her jersey in the rafters, in the history books with all the other UConn legends who have come into that program and won a national championship and balled out in the WNBA. I'm going to go UConn. Don't think this game goes into overtime. to look at some of the other number 1 and number 2 seeds in national championships since 2000, giving the past few recent years. It was South Carolina versus UConn. That's this year. 2022 was South Carolina versus UConn. They defeated them 64-49. In 2017, South Carolina again defeated Mississippi State 67-55. In 2008, it was Tennessee defeating Stanford with 64-48. The only overtime that we have here on this list is number 2 Maryland defeating Duke in overtime 78-75. All the other times we are looking at regulation, and some of these games pretty lopsided. I don't think we're going to get that kind of a game. I do think, to your point, these two teams just been crushing it, and I think we're going to get a really good one, a close one. But I'm going to go UConn just to also make things interesting. If I pick South Carolina, that wouldn't be fun. So that's not cool. One of us is going to be right, and one of us is going to be wrong. And you're going to be in Tampa, Final Four championship game, and we're going live with Tarika Foster-Brasby from the court for Sunday's game. That's going to be fun.
Yes, it's going to be fun. And we're going to have so much to talk about because this is going to be one of the best games. And that is my prediction, is that this is going to be one of the best championship games that we've seen.
Are you going to take some confetti from the court with you?
Oh, I'm gonna sneak something. I might try and get one of them hats. Yeah. If you see me with a hat,
South Carolina win, see if they cut you a piece of the net. Just put it in your bag.
Listen, I don't know if I deserve a piece of the net, but if you see me with one of them hats or a t-shirt, don't say nothing.
Speaking of t-shirt, before we wrap, I want to show everybody this. My Nike shirt came in. Juju Watkins on my shirt. Very cool. I know we wish that we were seeing her in the tournament more, maybe even in the national championship. We will see her again. As a reminder, we want to wish her a speedy recovery. Also, a player of the year.
Yes.
So we wanted to give her accolades for that as well. Congratulations. So deserved. And I think I speak for not only the both of us, but basketball fans everywhere when I say we cannot wait to see you back on the court, healthy, playing basketball. The tournament, college basketball in general, is just not the same without you.
Completely agreed. We were actually in Tourneytown today, and we recorded some special messages for her that we are going to be putting on social. So I was getting emotional with everyone sending their well wishes. So we definitely, we know you're going to come back bigger, better, everything. It's going to be a recovery, but we're all here with you. So,
well, listen, definitely. Everyone, to see those. I
go ahead. Really quick. How you going to order a shirt and not ask me if I want one?
So I didn't order this. This was given to me. This was a gift. I swear. That's why it's so big. This is an extra large. If I had ordered it myself, it would have been a little bit more form-fitting. So, yeah.
All right. I'm just checking.
I got to wear this as a dress. Well, I show you just how, look how long it is. You can't even see my legs.
Actually, I'm just saying I could probably fit that shirt. So if they want to send you a smaller size, just
I will definitely see if they want to send me a small size, and I will gladly give you this one. But look, everyone, if you want to see the special messages that Alicia had recorded with so many people currently in Tampa for the Final Four, you will miss that if you are not following us on social media. Here are all of our channels below. Also, all of the work she's doing from Tampa this weekend. You'll miss all of that if you are not following. And if you are not subscribed to YouTube with the notifications turned on, then when Tarika and Alicia are coming to you live from Tampa, from the court, surrounded by confetti in a hat she probably stole, you will not know because your notifications won't be turned on. So make sure you do all of that because the national championship is not something you want to miss, but you definitely don't want to miss the post game and everything that comes after that. It's going to be so good. And as always, scan the QR code at the end of the show if you miss any of the action and want to listen to it on audio or on all your favorite platforms. No reason to not be tapped in with us. Emma, don't let Alicia get arrested for stealing hats and swag in Tampa. Okay?
Listen, it's gonna be all right.
We need her. Emma says no promises. Okay, well, I gather up some bail money.
Okay.
Well, I gather up some bail money just in. Oh well, Emma's gonna be there with her.
You gonna wear? She's gonna have a hat on too.
So on that note, while I gather up some bail money for Alicia and now Emma, you guys have a good night. Bye.
Loved it.